Hello, peoples! Okay, so I have my coffee here again today. I also have two books that I have finished more than that this month so far. I'm hoping to finish more. I'm hoping I'm gonna have an actually good reading month again, because last month I didn't do too well. I'm not unhappy with what I did last month, but you know. So I have two books that I have read. I'm going to be telling you some of my thoughts on them. I wouldn't call it an actual full review, but kind of a mini review, if you will. And I'm also going to tell you guys what I'm currently reading right now. I do believe some of you will be excited to know that I'm actually currently reading it. So I am currently reading Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. You can't see the cover too well, maybe right there, because it's a library cover, library copy, so the cover has plastic on the front and the back and stuff, so the light reflects off it and you can't see it too well. But okay, Amanda Foody, she did another book called The Burning City, and I read that one because it was back in the carnival phase of book reading for me, where I wanted to read every book that mentioned carnivals. So that was interesting. Carnivals and circuses. It was one of those two. It was both of those, actually, and I wanted to read any books to do with those. So I have read books from this author before. I didn't love the book, The Burning City, but I didn't hate it either. But so far, I kind of like Ace of Shades better, actually. I do not believe that it's going to be one that I'm in love with, but it is interesting and pretty good so far. So I'm excited. I'm not too far in, actually. I am on page 126, so I'm not too far in, but I'm in far enough where I can't go back now. So yeah. Mini review time. Okay, so first I'm going to be doing Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. So there is a book too, and I'm really hoping to read that soon, because I at first had been excited about this book, that it was coming out, but then there was a lot of hype for it, even though I'd been excited for the book before the hype. All the hype kind of just made me feel like maybe I should not read it. What if it's not as good as everyone's saying? But so it was a while before I read it, and now that I've read it, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. There were some parts that I could have lived without, but it actually really reminded me how the protagonist was, how she was very kick butt and stuff. She was very strong and an interesting protagonist. She reminded me a lot of Throne of Glass and The Diabolic. Actually, those two books remind me a lot of this one, just because the protagonists seem like they'd all three be best friends and stuff in real life. So, sadly to say, they're not in real life because they're fictional characters. So, but I was all through the book. I finished this book in one day because it was so good. I actually stayed up later than I should have to finish reading it, and I was mind blown by how good it was. I did not see that ending. I did not see a lot of the things in there. The only thing was how much they talked about the Pirate King. When he finally came in, I had expected a bit more to do with him, instead of seeing him that one time, couple lines of dialogue, and that's it. I had expected a bit more than just that. When we finally come face to face with the Pirate King that's been talked about throughout the whole book, and is actually on the title of the cover. So yeah, I had expected a little more there. But other than that, I actually had guessed the protagonist's secret to do with her mom. I had kind of guessed that for the most part, like what she was and stuff. Just everything else I did not guess. So this book was very interesting, and it was thrilling and kept you in the story and all kinds of stuff. And now I want to read more pirate books. Next is going to be The Forgetting by Sharon Cameron because I am in love with this book. So there's a sequel to this book as well. I have not read it yet, but I'm super excited to, but also super scared too. Okay? Because how this book ended, it makes you think it could just be this one book. You were totally okay with the ending and everything. But no, there's a sequel. And somehow, when you think of this book having a sequel, you feel excited. But then the second after you feel excited, you realize, oh crap, something's gonna happen. Crap. A lot of stuff is gonna happen, and we're gonna get grief, heartbreak, and all this horrible stuff. Is it gonna be worth it? I don't know, but I'm still gonna read the sequel, and if it ends really bad, I'll just pretend the sequel does not exist, even though I will have already read it and everything. Anyways, to do with the first book and not the sequel that I haven't even read yet. So, yeah. This book, I had not heard anything about really. I found it at my library, explains the shiny cover, and I immediately bought it. After reading my library copy that I got from my library, I immediately went and bought my own copy because it was that good. So, it's torn a little. This book you do not think is sci-fi at first. It seems more like a dystopian kind of story, but then it is really sci-fi when you start understanding, when the main character starts finding out some things about her home and stuff. You figure out that it is actually very sci-fi. Yeah. So I'm not going to spoil what the sci-fi parts were because they were interesting to discover and find out. When I thought by sci-fi it meant just in the future and stuff, I was thinking more of City of Ember kind of sci-fi. I was wrong for the most part. It is actually kind of like City of Ember because of the city. But anyways, The Forgetting, every 10 or 15 years, 12 years, every 12 years, the city of Canaan, which is where everyone's at, the forgetting happens, which is where everyone forgets everything. And so before that, everyone carries a book on them at all times, and they write everything in their books, so that when the forgetting happens, afterwards they can read who they are, who they're related to, they can remember who they're married to, their kids, and all kinds of stuff. So it's a way to remember, even though they forgot everything. Except our protagonist is the one person that never has forgotten anything. So, in the first chapter, halfway through, actually at the beginning of the first chapter, I was thinking, oh, I'm not going to care for this protagonist really a lot. I just really want to find out what happens and stuff. I wasn't that into it. I was wrong once again. I am so attached to the main character now that I'm scared to read the sequel. You get attached to the main character very early once you find out some stuff about her, which happens once again very early. And then just a lot of things, okay? There's so much. There wasn't really a plot twist. There were more like surprises and stuff. I wouldn't call them plot twists. But there was, the main bad villain, you had guessed was a small villain. Turns out they were a large villain, and there wasn't really a surprise with it. So there was no plot twist, big reveal with that. However, one of the villains that introduced is on page in the first chapter, you think is going to be one of the big bad villains, actually has an interesting backstory, and we kind of care about by the end of it. We care about him by the end of it, let's just say that. So, yeah, that was, I wouldn't call that a plot twist, but it was mixed signals and stuff, I would call it. Because there wasn't really a big plot twist reveal and stuff. It was just how things had developed. But, the love interest and our protagonist actually reminded me a lot of Katniss and Peeta at first. I was also wrong when I thought it was going to be almost a lot like that. It was not a lot like that. Nope, nope. This love interest pair belongs in its own category, and I have now learned that with this book, even though something seems like it's going to be like a lot from another book, it is not. It is not. It has its own rules and things. So, yeah. I actually have already gone back and reread a portion of this book, a good portion of it, and like skipped around and stuff again, reread parts because I liked it so much. So yeah, I definitely suggest reading this. It was not, I think it's getting a little bit more hype now, but when I had heard about it and got it from my library, there wasn't really any hype at all. I hadn't heard anything about it, so I was like, oh, that looks interesting. Let's read it instead of reading a book with a lot of hype already. And I loved it, so please give it a try. If you have not heard of it before, if you have heard of it and didn't know if you wanted to try it, you should try it. You should try it. Unless you're one of those people that really does not like sci-fis or anything that might be in here. So yeah, that is my 2 mini reviews and what I'm currently reading. As for what I'm going to be reading next after Ace of Shades, I will probably actually start Illuminate after Ace of Shades, but I don't know for sure because it's kind of thick and I don't have a lot of time these days. I can actually probably finish that really quickly if I get into it enough. I'm kind of worried it's not going to live up to my expectations, but I do still plan to read it. So either I'm going to read Illuminate next, or Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth, or I'm going to be reading The Spirit Glass Charade, a Stoker and Holmes novel by Colleen Gleason. This is book 2 to another book I already read, so I might do that one. Yeah, I haven't decided which ones of these to do next after Ace of Shades, but we'll see if I can actually get through Ace of Shades, because I don't love it. At this point, it's more of I'm just reading it to find out what happens, because I'm not too attached to any of the characters. I'm hoping that changes, but I'm already this far in, so I don't know if that's going to. So, thank you guys for watching. What are you guys currently reading? What have you read so far? Anything that you have fallen in love with and is like a hidden gem for you, such as The Forgetting for me. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Bye.